What's up, you pencil neck geeks? Welcome to the world famous comedy store. This is the Store Horsemen podcast. I am the Darkitect speaking. To my left, my main man, 100 Grand, member of the Dark Foundation, the Woken Matt Edgar. What's up, dude?
Right here, right awake, just trying to, get in the Store Horseman spirit.
That's right.
We just had a massive argument right before we pressed record. I'm a little bit distracted.
Someone hates black guys.
Somebody hates Matts.
Yeah.
The factions have been drawn in the sand. And now Daddy knows exactly what the mice have been doing while the cat's out playing.
Daddy.
Yeah. Don't
like
recognize that voice.
like
That is the Golden Pony Shorty T.
Oh, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
We should have sat on that.
You didn't even wait a second.
We only get to call him short so many times an episode.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, my God.
I don't think that's true at all.
First of all, the Golden Pony was good enough
Yeah.
on my intro. I don't have multiple nicknames.
Matt, if we sat on that, you would need a booster seat for
What?
Tony. Because he's short.
There you
no,
go.
right.
Booster
I didn't even have to.
Oh, my God. Oh, no.
Booster seat.
Oh, no.
Johnny's having chest pains after that one.
Absolutely.
It's good to be here. Let it be known that I also grew an inch this week. All right?
You got
I'm
new
one of the
shoes?
only 35-year-olds still growing. So
Right on.
explain that. I'm about to be medium T.
Oh, speaking of growing, but the circular way, we got the enforcer, Johnny Scortis.
Yeah,
What's up, buddy?
No, I grew 2 inches horizontal after the holidays.
Yeah.
And my chest swelled up
Great
bit
deal.
after getting my tits chopped by fucking Josh Barnett at Storcade. I needed a week to recover, and I'm back.
Welcome back.
And thank you. And, yeah.
Absolutely. And all the way at the end there, speaking of shrinking, the shrinking hair of the genius Eddie Firth. What's up, man?
For anybody who ever tweeted at us and thought any of this stuff was a work, I wish they were here 5 minutes ago to hear that.
Yeah.
I really, oh.
It's like setting up a new feud, like a new storyline.
And, you know?
Well, it's all natural, baby.
Yeah.
I don't think it's set, and I don't think it's creative or writing at all. I think this is naturally happening. So let me tell you, let's let the people in.
Yeah.
How about we do that? Let's
I'd
go
love to.
full exposure here. Montreal Screwjob. I just found out
Somebody's spitting
that
in somebody's face.
the Dark Foundation, Matt Black, pumps straight into the Store Horseman feed. I find out about this 14 episodes in.
How do you not know about it? It's been
like
I'm
that
not-
for
it's been
2 years.
over
Over 2 years.
a year.
I don't listen to
Minneapolis.
podcasts.
He's in Cincinnati.
Don't you
all
start.
over the
I'm touring
country.
the world, Johnny. The world.
The world.
Europe, Australia,
So
Canada.
are you saying you're personally not subscribed to the Store
I'm
Horsemen
subscribed.
podcast?
I'm subscribed,
So
but
you
I
don't
don't listen. I don't listen to any podcasts. I don't listen to Kill Tony. I don't listen to Joe Rogan. I don't listen to the Store Horsemen.
Okay.
Every once in a great while, I'll listen to Chris Jericho or Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's literally it.
Mhm.
And I gave 83 weeks. I was on a little 83
Yeah, I
weeks
did that
run
too.
for a little bit too. But
I like
good.
the Jericho episode.
But after the thing fizzles out, it's like, that's it. They literally limit
There's a few weeks
themselves. It's
too
like the
long.
first rule of podcasting is like, don't make a show that has an ending.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we're at episode 81.
No, at week 15, they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
So anyway, no big deal, but I'm telling you this right now, all right? Matt Black, White Back is starting. That's me and Eddie. We'll be white back after these messages. All right?
Is that Josh Martin's podcast? Are you
Yes,
sure?
Josh is with us.
No, me and Johnny's doing a podcast called Wetback.
Oh, Jesus, we just
Josh
lost
from the
half of
swamp
our
and me
Mexican
from-
listeners. So let it be known, we're going to drop an episode or maybe 7 this week.
Enjoy.
Straight into the Store Horseman feed.
Do it.
For those
It's
of
great.
you,
It's called
we're gonna
Golden Geniuses.
Hey, I like that. Golden Geniuses. We'll be white back after these messages. We're going to have commercials. We're going to have a lot of things going on over at Golden Geniuses.
I'll tune in sometime.
Hey.
Yeah.
It'll be a very short episode.
You know what I
No!
Oh, you son of a
Oh.
bitch.
God, Josh, every now and then
Snuck
you get
it in,
you sneak
yeah.
an uppercut in there. It goes
Even
right
I'm
through
going to
the
defend
guard.
Tony on that one. Fuck.
Oh, how dare you. You know what? I'm doing a solo wrestling podcast. Once a week. Finally, a show I can record on my own at my place with my phone and my microphone.
Like the
When
pony
you have to watch the product to do that,
That's in a studio, too.
Yeah.
This one I could do all by I could just do voice memos while I'm in the shower.
There you go.
Ideas, things that I think about in wrestling.
You just took me and Josh's wetback idea.
You sure did. We're podcasting in
We're
the
gonna-
shower.
Good podcast in the shower.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the shower. Johnny's going to be eating on the toilet.
That's what happens at the Royal Rumble. Eddie's going to find out in January.
It literally
it
sounds
gets
like
weird.
my relationship with my girlfriend.
It gets very weird in the
Thing
Airbnb.
about the Royal Rumble, when we go, Eddie, bring swim trunks.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
There's a lot of hot tubbing at Matt's insistence.
All right.
At
I
all
make sure
hours
we
of
all
the
get in
day.
the hot tub
I
for at
will.
least 6 hours a day.
Make sure you bring a
2 hours
shaver
at
with
night.
a cord. This fucking guy.
Oh.
All right, so we're here. The factions have been decided. It's a three-man tag match to the finish line, and I got bad news for you. Me and Eddie, we don't lose.
Oh boy. Well, listen. As far as wrestling is concerned, professional wrestling. This week,
As opposed to the unprofessional wrestling
Yeah.
we've been doing
Yeah.
for the last half hour.
that's right. I don't know. You guys talk to me, man. This week felt. Maybe it's this. I'm still in the Storecade hangover. Maybe because
Holidays.
Survivor Series is done and the NXT crossover stuff isn't happening anymore, or Lesnar is apparently done appearing for the rest of 2019.
They always say this shit. It works for the marks.
I mean, only it's happened multiple times, but
But they also say
Spoken
it and
like
it
a true
doesn't
mark.
happen. But they say it and it doesn't happen. They're like, he's never doing another event. Then he's like 7 weeks in a row on Raw.
sure, I guess.
Yeah.
But either way, he hasn't been around. So your world title's not been around, leaving Seth Rollins to sort of be the main event centerpiece of the show, and they're going with a slow burn, like kind of heel turn thing, with the AOP attacking Kevin Owens over and over again, but refusing to attack Seth. And I don't know. I'm whelmed. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not underwhelmed. I'm just whelmed by the
Shades
entire
of,
product right now.
Rollins after he turned on the Shield and teamed up with Triple H and Steph.
Authority.
Sort
Yeah.
of, but at least that was like.
That was the best of Rollins, man.
At least that was like
It
sudden.
was.
Was it not?
I agree.
Do you remember that SummerSlam against John Cena?
He was killing it at
Ah,
that
that
time,
was
and I
great,
think
yeah.
that's what brought him to where he is now. Like that
Well,
aspect
that's what
of him.
kept him. That's what kept him. You remember he was kind of stale for a while.
He's stale now.
He's super
stale
stale.
now.
Well, he had kind of a comeback this year.
Well, at first, when he was just having the best matches on Raw, and
Yeah.
he wasn't tweeting.
What was that match
He
where
wasn't
the
cutting
gauntlet?
these promos.
I think this is one of the rare cases in which someone's tweeting sort of really took down their stock.
Yeah.
I think he really made himself a little too human. And again, when you can't do the wrestling matches that you want to do, when you can't do a 15, 20-minute fucking banger and blow people's minds, and, that's what people do get a little bit more of over at AEW. When you have an athletic guy and you limit him in the ring to what he can do and who he's going against, you're screwed if he's out there tweeting, humanizing, and sort of coming across as sort of like a
Annoying.
right,
Straight
like
up
it's like in
annoying.
UFC, because that works in UFC, calling out your opponent in real life. Sometimes on Twitter, because it'll create a lot of energy and buzz around something. But when someone who's undeserving of something tweets at one of these big people, it is the end of their careers. So, like, if it goes great, then it goes great. Okay, you tweeted at Conor McGregor, you got Conor McGregor, congratulations. But some fucking loser being like, Conor, you know who the real fucking guy is? And him going, who the fuck are you? And everybody laughing, that guy's done,
Kind of like the guy that called out Masvidal when he was doing that press conference right after his fight with Till. And then Masvidal walked up and punched him in his face. Who was that guy?
That was actually oh my god, it was a big one.
Was he a big one?
Yeah, he's actually
It's tough too because everything that Seth Rollins is tweeting is all heel stuff, right? Like a face doesn't typically, in any form, say, "Hey, I'm the best." What they say is, I'm thankful for the fans, right? It's the Kofi Kingston approach of people are behind me, like I'm just doing it to do the best I can. That's the face.
Yeah.
He's trying to, which is why they're the slow burn is. This was a week of kind of like placeholder television.
Yeah,
Not much happened.
Also, I
feel
hate
like-
when Rollins does the pre-shows
Yeah.
because he's so like it's so corporate. He gets so.
Do you know what I did see today that made me laugh? Was on one of their Instagram feeds. It was the title over. It was literally Seth Rollins answers your questions from social media, and I was like,
Just
this
him on a
guy, the
couch with
worst
an
at social
AMA.
media.
Yeah.
You know who doesn't do that? The Rock wouldn't do that. Like the people that are great, cool, fun champions are so much cooler every time the camera's on. Look at Steve Austin. Steve Austin never sat at a booth pre-show talking like it's like a show, like you're selling the show. Like he was all about Austin.
It's rarefied
Do you guys
air.
agree or disagree with this? That like as far as the WWE is always being top heavy, like the top heavy stuff isn't working and everything else seems to be
100%.
It's because
a
guys
lot
like
better.
this, guys like Seth, they aren't doing what a guy like Bray Wyatt or a guy like Brock Lesnar does and has done, which is protect their brand, write their own stuff, have a creative vision. I'm sorry to say it. You know, I said this about Dean Ambrose back in the day, and a lot of people got mad about it, but I'm saying it now, and I'm saying it about Seth, is it's like take control of your creative, and what you can control, think deeply, not about what it'll do today, about what it does for you months and years down the road, man. Calling out CM Punk, dude, you're supposed to be beating people now.
Yeah, and you're calling out somebody who's beloved, dude.
Right,
But
beloved,
also-
and also you're calling a guy out who they've already tried to instill in our heads, right? Because you remember how furious I was about Daniel Bryan coming back as a tag partner and this
Yeah.
and that, because everybody's like, you got to rebuild him. I'm like, it's pro wrestling. What do you mean rebuild him? This guy had 2 belts and fucking a broken arm and a shoulder and a this and a that and did 2 matches or whatever the fuck to win that WrestleMania. Now he's back in a tag match with fucking Dippity Boop and Blippity Blop in the second part of a 6-hour WrestleMania. And it's just sad to me. So it's like, and my point is, I come from the reverse school of thought, which we argued about that day, which is like, have him come back and be fucking Daniel Bryan, who was the champ, Brock at the time, right? That's what
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And so since they've already taught us basically that they don't do things this way, that you need to rebuild and build up, him calling out CM Punk's an even bigger catastrophe because why would you want to swamp a guy who's returning, you know what I mean, who's making his years off of wrestling?
But apparently,
Wait, hold on. Did you just call Randy Orton and Batista Dippity Bob and Blippity Boop?
Yeah, I did. Who was Daniel Bryan's partner for that?
Oh, for his
Shane
NXT
McMahon,
tag
wasn't it?
match, it was wasn't it his wife, or was it not his
No,
wife?
no,
was-
no.
no, it was
his
a triple
return
threat
from his
match.
injury.
Eric
He-
Rowan.
No. He was Shane McMahon's partner, wasn't he? Because they were
think so.
they were co-GMs of SmackDown.
And that's
Oh,
why.
yeah,
That's
and
why
they
it was.
faced
Right,
That's
Kevin
why it
Owens
was-
and Sami Zayn. Does that
that
sound
might
right?
be right, something
Yeah,
like that.
That's a blippity
You know,
blop
the
match.
memorable comeback. though.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I mean, that guy literally went from those yes chants at Mania, the entire arena, and all these new fans joining the wrestling world, to that. It's like, oh, this was his next match, boys and girls, and then it's
Yeah.
you're like,
The other
"What?"
thing
You know what?
this speaks to me about is the idea that, and this is age old in wrestling, but the best wrestler, the best in ring person, isn't always like you still need the character. Like we saw, like this is a very Bret Hart kind of scenario for him, but
Yep.
he doesn't even have the Bret Hart character that we all get behind and love. So it's like you can have the best matches, but we're still waiting for that character to come through, and that's why we're so intrigued by this heel turn.
And
He
let's
needs
not
the sunglasses.
And let's not forget, even Bret Hart had the backbone of coming from Stu's Dungeon, of being part of the Hart family, of the Hart Foundation, of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which is where I will be in the month of January 2021. 6 shows. No, I'm kidding. But Bret
no,
Hart, even though he seems like a simple, sort of not that exciting of a character back in the day, only to kids, right? But he had so much more even. So, like, even saying Seth's sort of like how Bret was, it's like, but he doesn't have all that Bret Hart shit.
And
That-
not the
that-
same
I-
experiences. And there was a few weeks ago we cut one of those promos. I remember coming in here and being like, it made me miss a Bret Hart promo. Like there was just something about him in the ring. So I think it's interesting he's going to turn heel. They are taking their time with it, but again, it did feel like a week off for everyone. And
Because I'll tell
Especially
you
with the holiday weekend.
Right.
I feel like.
I'll tell you the difference. I think that what Brett had going for him was what you just kind of touched on, Tony, was believability. You knew that Brett was like this grizzled vet who could get it done
Really?
in the ring. You didn't think so?
And here's
yeah.
what's
when I
crazy
was
about
12?
Yeah.
No, Bret
that was
Hart
Bret's
had
whole
fucking
thing.
sunglasses, and he wore pink, and he was gonna fight fucking Yokozuna. I was like, how is this guy gonna beat Yokozuna? And they beat him.
Yeah.
In ring, his storytelling was second to none, which
Right.
speaks to how good he was at that. Which was we always, even at 12 years old, knew when he was in pain that he was
Right.
working on the leg.
Yeah,
Right,
working the-
right.
working
That's
the
what I'm
knees.
saying.
And I'm not even
Right.
saying Seth is that good. I'm just comparing it to the idea
No.
of like this down period, and Seth is down at the
Right.
moment because as good as you can be.
To that point, then you get someone like Shawn Michaels,
Mm-hmm.
who is everything Bret is and everything fucking Hulk Hogan is in one.
Yeah.
And then,
You get the
how are you
character
gonna
and you get
fucking
the in-ring.
argue against that?
Yeah.
And there's solutions to this, by the way, that I
Agreed.
could say right now. There's a few of them. One thing I know for a fact from some inside sources that I can't name is that Seth Rollins is an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like athletically, like in a gym, he can do things that other
freak,
people
yeah.
can't
that-
do.
what's
His
that workout
vertical
method?
leap,
It's CrossFitter.
CrossFit.
CrossFit.
and his vertical and his strength and his fucking all this stuff, and they could showcase things like that. They
Yeah.
could give background about that, or have him cut a fucking promo in a gym where he's doing crazy shit. And show it off and have him go up against it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's when they
Show him
were-
working out with a strong
Yeah.
man and him doing things that this big fucking like Keith Lee type of character can do, and Seth can do it too.
Right. That's when they were winning with him. When he was just when
When
he
he was
literally was just having matches, and everyone's like, "Yo, Seth Rollins is having the best matches on Raw," and that's when the whole Monday Night Rollins thing got started. Then he took the mic, and then it was just a forced burn it down every 30 seconds, and you're just
When
like,
he had the authority
"Stop
behind
saying
him,
that."
the authority behind him
I
kind of
think-
spoke for him, and so in a lot of ways, like he didn't have to talk. Also, he was having those great matches then, you know what I mean? And he was the architect. Like he formed this whole heist to take the belt at Mania. Like
Totally.
that
I-
was a character.
You can see that
you're
I'm into
you're
it.
fucking
Architect, baby.
in my head right now, Matt, because like that's exactly what I'm thinking. Is like when Seth Rollins had someone like Triple H and Stephanie talking for him, who were so more well versed on the mic. He was doing so much better, and he was still doing all those fucking things. But now it's just him still doing what he does in the ring, but trying to carry what they were doing for him for it, and it's not the same thing.
Am I the only one that's missing Stephanie McMahon nowadays that thinks we could you
She's a
reuse her again,
genius.
or would we immediately after 1 week be like, we've seen this story?
I've never been sick of her.
Right.
I know a lot of people get sick of her. I've always thought she's one of the best on the mic that there
I think
ever had
as
been.
a performer, she's second to none at what she does. I think it's the way they write that character, which is
Yes.
a slippery slope.
Like
It's
the-
the idea
Yes.
that I've never been one for the corporate involvement or the GM or like because it then to me it's always the biggest criticism. One of the two criticisms I have that I really levy against WWE, one of them is that it's a show about putting a wrestling show on instead of a wrestling show. And the more you have that overlord coming in, the more you're like, it's a show about a show instead of just having the show. And that's the only. But as a performer, Stephanie McMahon is incredible.
Yeah.
She is absolutely all time
so
great.
good that like do you remember the when Shane and her first got they each got a brand and they would do like TV together, like be in the ring, like live mic together. You'd see her and she's totally just like she holds herself. She doesn't look worried at all. She's confident. And then it pan over to Shane and he's sweating, he's stuttering, like he's literally dripping. He's wiping the
always
sweat.
sweating.
Yeah, I was
Just
say
seeing
that
the
dude
sweat.
is the wettest
Do you remember
McMahon there ever lived.
the promo where Mick Foley came back and she's literally talking him through the segment? There's this I think it was like the first time he was GM or second time. It was this. Foley even talks about it on some place. Stephanie McMahon is basically directing him and walking him through the promo and the segment because he was so amped up. It was his first time back in front of a live crowd, and she was just like, no. And she would just turn her head and be like, all right, Mick, slow down, you got it. And then she'd feed him the line and give him what he needed. It's just like absolute pro. Just the character, that figure doesn't necessarily.
He
Okay,
should
I don't
have
wanna
her
say
open
I
for
don't
his
wanna say
stand-up
that like
shows.
parents have favorites, but you mentioned this to me that when it was Shane's birthday, Vince
Yes.
tweeted.
No,
Happy
wait,
birthday,
no.
Shane.
You guys set it up
But-
all around.
Yes.
Okay, no,
when it
no,
was Stephanie's
Stephanie's
birthday,
Yeah.
he tweeted like this long soliloquy. When it was John Cena's birthday, long soliloquy. The Undertaker, The Rock, all their birthdays, long soliloquies. Shane McMahon's birthday, Happy birthday, add Shane McMahon.
Send him
Damn
a
it.
Starbucks card.
Thanks for reminding me
That
some
was
of my
the
sperm was weak.
totality of his birthday wishes for Shane. Now, I think that the McMahons, other than Linda, are all pretty like naturals as characters for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think what happened with the Stephanie character was that she'd end up being what kind of Triple H was during his reign of terror, where it was like you just couldn't ever one up him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that would destroy your babyface characters. It's like you can only get talked down to so many times and then never win. You know, never get the heel never gets its comeuppance to where eventually you start looking like a fucking dork. You know what I mean? And that's what she would do
Yeah.
to all the wrestlers.
And the biggest difference with McMahon and Austin in the Attitude Era was that I think it was so beautiful because it was never directly stated. It was just implicit that there was no way Vince was going to fire Stone Cold because he was the biggest star.
Yeah.
And so it was always conform because we need you.
Right.
But he couldn't but anytime recently that the corporation has come against someone, it's like, you hate this person and they work for you, just fire them.
Right.
And
100%.
if you're just going to give them shit the whole time, like there has to be a natural conflict there for that to actually work. Otherwise, it's just a boss yelling at employees.
Yeah.
And the reason why that also worked was that Vince actually took bumps.
We'll get his ass
And
kicked
so
regularly.
Stephanie's a great heel, but she never takes bumps, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Except
So
that
you can't
table
really
bump at
hit her.
Mania.
You can't really
Well,
hit
Triple
her.
H takes them for her.
Yeah, but it's not the
But-
same
yeah.
as like
Sure.
the
When she's
authority.
the one
taking
Can I
talking
take
the
this
down.
like into a completely different direction? For
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
You
yeah,
usually
please.
do.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, yeah, okay. Here I go.
Johnny style.
It's always
What
2
is-
minutes behind.
The stupidest piece of merch
Whoa.
Josh's
for
t-shirt.
WWE that you had. Because I want to tell you mine because like you're talking about Triple H and all this stuff. I used to have a life-size Triple H poster that I
you had
put on
sex
the
with?
back of my door, and I would put my feet under the door and try and do sit-ups to get abs like Triple H.
You would put your head up to his dick.
Now that you mention it,
Question:
How
where
many
is
did you do
DX
before you
crotch
gave
chart?
up?
Well, we see how to get to.
Wait, so hey, Johnny would literally suck it.
Hey, Johnny, I have a question. Was the poster 5'9"?
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Okey-dokey.
He did
My
one.
goodness. So
All right,
that's what
I'll try.
happened.
Mine is relatively new, and it was a gift because I bought like a vintage
you're like
shirt.
40 years
Hold
old.
on, I'm not done making fun of Johnny for this yet. Well, you're next, Matt.
You got it.
So you mean to tell me that you were doing sit-ups as a kid straight up into Triple H, basically? So like this is this
Yeah.
perhaps trauma
so you're
of why
giving-
you've never had abs?
You're giving
what's in
yourself
half?
a reverse pedigree.
I was. And then I went to a book signing by him, and that's when I started working out. And that's how
And that's
I
also
lost
when you stopped
100
Yeah.
pounds.
You lost how much?
I have lost over fucking 100 pounds.
Yeah, and then
Thanks,
you
Triple
gained.
H.
Are you counting all the weight you've ever lost in your life
I'm
and then
talking
regained
from
and then lost
5
again?
years.
I've lost hundreds of pounds.
I love Johnny's trying to be sentimental. You're not getting out of this one. You know that, right?
I've
You're-
gained thousands,
Johnny
but I've
was-
lost hundreds.
Johnny's the Burger King of kings.
Guys, really, Triple H changed my life.
He did. I mentioned to him at the fucking Canelo fight. And he's like, "Oh, thanks, man."
Looks like
He
you were
was like,
doing.
"You're
Sweet
He's
picture.
like, I do
Look-
that.
Looks like you were doing sit-ups into a Yokozuna poster.
Do you guys have anything like that at all? No.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I've
Matt.
always-
Well, I have.
What do you-
So I bought a vintage shirt, and the guy I saw behind the thing, he had a Mr. Sacco, and I was like, was that really merch back then? He's like, oh yeah, you could have got it. It was like official WWF merch from when Mr. Sacco was huge, and he gave it to me. So then I got this cool thing, and I'm super stoked on it. But like, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wear it. It's only one.
Jump on people and give them
I can't
Socko.
put it up anywhere because it's a fucking sock. So I just basically have it with the rest of my socks.
Here's what you do. Frame it, and below put a plaque that says "My first jerk off sock." Like you bronzed your first jerk off.
Have a nice
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Can you ever like put it on your hand and then finger your girl with the sock
Oh
on?
Jesus,
Wow.
Josh! Josh does not know how fingering a
it?
girl works at all.
Clearly
It's
not.
mostly a fist.
It's a resounding yes, Josh. We'll do that
A
next.
matable claw.
Hey, yeah, Mr. Kako.
I've
Show
expressed,
her all your mankind.
I've expressed my love for Shawn Michaels, and as like a middle school kid, I loved Shawn. So I definitely owned that the motorcycle hat with the
Oh yeah,
the
with
zebra,
like the
and
zebra
the
print.
glass. Oh, I had that, but I feel so unashamed. Like, of course I did.
Son,
But the weirdest one, and I've used this in a bit, but the weirdest thing that I ever did was actually in like my 7th grade shop class. You know how you'd like take a piece of wood, you'd like carve your name on it with a thing. I wrote sexy boy and boy toy on 2 different ones. And like I think back now, like what teacher lets a kid write that? Like how weird is that?
oh Eddie's
Oh, my
gonna
God.
find himself later is what they all thought.
Oh, it was so fucking like he was like, okay.
What? She's like, what is sweet chin music?
Didn't even
what's
think
he
to-
What's he putting
Yeah.
on his chin?
Yeah.
It's on mahogany.
Yeah, that was the weirdest.
In 7th grade, I got these leather pants because they look like Kevin.
Oh, Jesus.
Because they look like Kevin Nash, and it just went with nothing I wore. It was leather pants. I'd wear soaps, the shoes that you could
It's
grind with.
hard to go to
Nothing-
MCR concerts in leather pants.
Oh, that was way before then, man.
Johnny, you really started something interesting here.
I know.
No, you don't apologize.
I bet our
Fantastic.
Facebook feed is going crazy right now.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Going bananas.
It's crashing.
Crazy.
Thank you again, Triple H.
Speaking of making fun of others, AEW,
Oh yeah.
fucking
Hey, you know what, man? I hate that.
what?
I hate what AEW does.
Yeah, doing
they do?
ads where they're putting. You know how when a movie's coming out in the trailer, they'll put up movie quotes. Such and such said that this was a masterpiece. Such and such said that this was, a triumph. So they ran some ads recently that said that AEW, delivers on its promises.
Uh-huh.
Some quote, some source, and then proceeded to give about 3 or 4 other quotes that had different verbs on what AEW was doing to NXT. AEW buries NXT. AEW destroys NXT. Blah, 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 blah. And the irony being that they got destroyed for the second week in a row in the ratings. NXT did 810,000. AEW did 663,000. Now, I'll temper it in Dave Meltzer fashion. Well, in the important demos, they performed better than NXT still. Not by a whole lot, but I thought AEW was the promotion that wasn't in a war.
Yeah.
I thought they were the ones that weren't trying to acknowledge
No, they're
WWE.
acting like the hot girl that takes the bikini pic and is like, "Stop looking at me."
Yeah, that's the one. That is the one.
I mean, I don't know if they are, but
We know that girl. We've dated that girl.
I haven't.
my girlfriend.
We know, Josh.
Hold on.
Oh, I thought you were
Chairman
gonna fart or
needs-
something.
No.
Well, he's always about
I
to
want to
fart,
hear
in
what the chairman
fairness.
has to say.
Wow, thanks for that great introduction, Johnny. Supernatural. You're out here working the mic like Shane. Why don't you be more of a Stephanie? Wow. Are
Well,
you?
Chairman, what do you got to say about
What do I
all
have to
this?
say? Why do you think I'm here? I just heard the news.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that really news to you? I said this last week. I did it. I did it again.
It's over.
I did it. It's over.
Wednesday Night War. We could put a bow on it.
I could buy them at any point. Can I give you guys some exclusive information?
Absolutely, Chairman.
So here's the thing. When you go to a new network with these executives that think they know it all, right? Say a Fox, right? Guess what?
What?
You can do tricks to increase, by using your creativity, you can do amazing tricks to increase the value of other products that perhaps a network with a dumb, out-of-touch studio executive at the top, right? Like, say, I don't know, Fox, right? So
What?
when I put NXT in the Survivor Series,
Yes.
I just transferred a bunch of people, basically. You see, hundreds of thousands of them.
Got it.
So now they're fans of that, and now that's going to be worth more money, so I can sell that to another network like Fox and make more money and still do the other shows and beat AEW 3 times. Do you see now?
No.
Oh,
I'm very confused.
Let me explain it. So while crushing AEW,
Yes.
which is a ticking time bomb,
Okay.
right? They are withering out. They need to be plugged in.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
Not only am I crushing them, but at the same time, I'm increasing the value of a third show,
That's right.
separate from the network, separate from Fox,
Right.
separate from Raw,
Uh-huh.
separate from SmackDown,
Uh-huh.
separate from the pay-per-views.
Separate from the XFL.
Another. Yes. Yes. The XFL
Yeah.
and NXT.
Are you gonna start having football games like run through Raw, like a bunch of like running backs just run through?
Well, it's funny you ask that. Because why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I just keep promoting all my projects throughout my projects? Because to tell you the truth, guys, these network execs
Yeah.
aren't paying any attention.
That's
They
probably
literally do nothing.
Yeah.
It's basically a completely politically appointed job. You're basically retired, and that's it. They don't have to pay attention to anything. They're getting the same corporate bonuses no matter what. Because nobody's really watching.
Mr. Chairman.
Everybody's just watching everything on the internet.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something really quick?
Sure, I
As
was going to
far
get
as-
out of here, but
No, that's fine.
you'd be the one to ask me a question.
As far as my opinion goes on all of this.
Oh, you want to know the merch that I owned as a kid?
No.
The company! The fucking company!
I just want to say, as far as AEW and NXT are going,
Couldn't agree with you more, Johnny.
That
You know what?
wasn't really a question.
I'm going to sign you to a multi-year deal.
Oh God.
Good day and good night, peasants.
Good night, Chairman. Wow. But yeah, you know, it's funny. A lot of the AEW defenders.
They can't all be winners.
You do realize Matt's just going to bring his sock next week?
yeah.
And try to do the same thing with Mr. Socko.
Finally found something to do with it.
He's so mad he came in it now.
God damn it!
Knew I shouldn't do it.
If you pulled it out of your pants right now like Mick Foley does, I'd be so amazed.
Then I wouldn't have underwear.
Oh. We'd all see your little Cactus Jack.
That would be the red hot, very chili peppers.
Little dude love.
Yeah.
Dick Foley.
Your mispronunciation of his last name made that better. Dick Foley.
Dick Foley?
Mrs. Foley's boy's baby dick.
Oh man.
Cactus whack.
These
Hey,
are the
Cactus Whack.
These are the episodes I love.
I like that. Got a little hell in your cell over there.
But yeah, it's just hilarious kind of seeing them divulge into this sort of, tactic because it's
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Maybe sometimes I think to myself that it's good that I'm this disengaged from AEW because here's what's not happening that I thought would happen looking from very far away in, right? And that's that Omega type of rivalry that he had in New Japan. You know what I mean? Like the Rain guy or whatever.
yeah,
Who's
yeah,
that?
Okada.
Yeah, I mean, they need to figure out a way to pull the trigger on things like that. They need to introduce superstars. You can't just build them. It's a little
Agreed.
cocktail, you know what I mean? WWE plays it perfectly, bringing guys back. They let you forget about somebody. Oh, wow, I can't believe Luke Harper's back. He was you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't have that element. They really need to take some of that fucking billionaire money. I Googled, I was explaining to someone in a meeting the other day how rich the AEW owner is. And
Yeah.
Googled his father's net worth, like $7 billion.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, go ask daddy for a loan. You got yourself in this far. This is an entertainment. This is a time in pro wrestling where they could deliver a death blow. They
Right.
could.
Go-
Little things like that.
Go
A
ask
guy
Daddy
like
to go
that.
buy you a Randy Orton.
Well, that's
A few of them.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Like, as far as AEW goes, and the problems that we have with WWE, they're always jumping the gun, and they're the complaints that we have is they don't fucking fulfill storylines,
Yep.
and they just go however the fucking crowd goes. I think maybe AEW is kind of doing the opposite, and we're so used to WWE just doing whatever the fuck we want all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
That AEW and Cody is smart enough to be like, okay, maybe we're just gonna run this fucking Jericho bullshit, and they are top heavy, but maybe they just run that a little bit longer.
I see what
and
you're saying.
make it,
That
something
that the audience's short attention span
Yeah.
is fucking them over because they've been conditioned in WWE to have short attention span because things always change at the drop of a hat. I agree with you in a sense. Problem is, you got to give enough of a breadcrumb to keep me coming back week after week. You know what I mean?
Was that the case in the friggin' 80s when we saw Hulk Hogan wrestle like once every 4 weeks?
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
In AEW, because we know I don't watch, but like there's commercial breaks, sure, normal, right?
Yeah.
And how long do their main events go? At their
They
average?
usually give them some time.
If you had to guess, 10, 15 minutes?
Like 15.
Yeah, about 15.
Pretty long TV matches.
NXT does the same thing with
Yeah.
their final
Yeah.
matches, their main event matches.
Right.
It's about 15 minutes.
That makes sense.
Are they
And I'm not
two
s-
segments over one commercial break?
Yeah,
You start in the
pretty
first
That's
one, you have a
for-
commercial
for
break, you
both.
end in the next
But see,
one.
but what I mean is,
for both of them?
But
Yeah.
but AEW does something weird with their commercial
Yeah.
breaks. Is they do the split screen, so
Yeah.
you still watch the match and during the match nothing is happening during those moments.
yeah.
There's really nothing happening.
So it's no
There was-
point in
There's no
having
point
split
in
screen.
the split screen because they just want. Oh, we're not cutting the action.
Yeah.
There's no action happening during those commercial breaks ever.
I think that's probably one of the most important parts of live wrestling for a wrestler is when the camera's off and okay, this is why I'm big on Corbin because when we went to go see him in fucking Ontario.
Yeah.
They went to a commercial break and he cleaned fucking house and everyone lost their shit and then they came back and then he got thrown over the fucking top rope and I was like, wait, this guy just fucking cleaned house for like 20 minutes and nobody saw it.
Yeah.
And
So
after
do you
that,
feel
I was
like that's
a
the
fan of
problem
his.
with Baron Corbin is no one likes him because we don't see him ball out for 20 minutes?
Yes.
So if we all
see
saw
him-
that,
we see
would
him balled
love-
out.
No, I'm saying the guy does the fucking work in the ring, and they never show it on TV, and that's why they only show him being a fucking dickhead all the time, and like, okay, yeah, he's a fucking dickhead, and you're like, oh, he sucks in the ring.
I think
But-
Johnny's learning what a face and a heel is.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, they never show him the good work that he does.
Yeah.
And then he goes on Twitter and he says he's the best.
They don't show him feeding the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Giving toys to
I
kids.
saw him.
What's the deal with that?
Guys, leave him alone. Johnny now has a
Fuck you
Baron
guys.
Corbin poster on his door that he does sit-ups to. every night.
I'm gonna have a
He's
belly
lost
just-
over 3 friends so far.
I already have a belly just like
He has
that.
a Baron Corbin poster on the floor, so he does squats on it.
Does that make any sense at all?
I heard Baron Corbin does a lot of work with children that have vestibular cancer. Good one.
Oh my God. Lord have mercy. But I mean, we've talked about it in the past. Like AEW, it's just like tonight. They opened up with an amazing match between Dustin Rhodes and the Young Bucks versus formerly LAX and Sammy Guevara, and it was like a great match. But it's like. It's your typical heel stable versus the good guys story.
This sounds like you're complaining about WWE.
Well, I don't know what you mean, but I'm just saying it's like
Like you're trying to find something to nitpick about AEW now that you're unsatisfied with what they're doing when your initial point was how much better they were than WWE.
No,
that was
that
never
is
my
not-
point. I
we-
never once
we-
said that.
Chris
I mean,
and I
they
both have
could be.
said-
They
Yeah.
could be. Again, this is
Yeah.
and I didn't really get to finish my point there. And
Johnny
one of the
always
things
picks at me for things I don't say.
One of the things I would
He
highly
doesn't listen.
one
so
of the
weird.
things I would highly recommend for AEW, not on top. I mean, of course, spending money to get bigger people while they can, especially now when they're initiating and have a real chance at getting something going and using the momentum of this whole NXT thing and everything. Is that, and also I think they should get back to their roots of and not necessarily their roots because they're starting out, but I think they should use some more of that New Japan mentality. Why not have, especially if you're getting these commercial breaks where, of course, you're going to lay low every few minutes, use it to your advantage. Have these insane matches. When somebody's engaged that long in a pro wrestling, how many matches have you turned off that have gone 22 minutes and then you're not going to, what?
Yeah.
Think of it. Think of how easy this is.
But look what they did. They took their top guy and he's not a top guy.
And that's really what I was getting at. Was
Omega
Omega
should be
should
your
be God.
end all be all.
Your
And he's
God.
not.
And Omega's basically a manager for the women's champion, basically.
And like he's sort of like I get the storyline. He's something's off about him. He should be this top guy, but something's off. He's losing. Moxley seems to have his number. Blah 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 blah. It's just like, yeah, but show us first. Not everybody watched Japan and knows that he's this amazing. So you don't know that he's the guy. Show us that he's the guy. Then you can do that story.
If they keep this up, it's going to go down as one of the all-time blunders.
Yeah.
It's going to be up there like...
Those fuckers are going to show up on a new version of Sunday Night Heat, and they're jobbing to fucking Baron Corbin, and everyone's going to be
easy
fucking pissed. Oh, they made Omega lose to goddamn Shorty G.
When's his contract up?
Omega?
Yeah.
20. I just saw a report about this. I think it's 2023.
Yeah, they're doing this wrong. I guess what just hit me like a ton of bricks was like, oh, maybe Omega only signed a 1-year contract with AEW,
Well,
and they are like, oh, well, this was worthless, so they're trying to
Well, the weird part about
mellow
it is
him out,
their
have him
top
lose to-
stars are also executives in the company.
See,
I think that's
the
what
point that I
ended
was
up
trying to
really
make.
like, because they had expressed that early on that they didn't want to appear like the executives, right? The booker gives himself the belt,
Yeah.
or the owner gives his son the belt. Like they didn't want to come off that way.
But
But in many ways, as you were describing that, it felt almost like what happened with Bayley when she got called up to the main roster, and we were all just expected to know the story, but they never actually
Exactly.
told the story or honored it. Like not even playing a video of her NXT days.
It's really great seeing you guys get along again.
AEW it's in a tough spot.
And you know
because
what's-
it does need a star, but there's also no just stars sitting around at the moment that are available, right? Punk was the last one where you'd be like, oh, we'll get a star.
Yeah.
And
What is
they're
John
still
Cena
learning
doing?
to put on a TV show, right? So there's no way we should expect that they'd be in the groove, but there's no
Look.
WCW pulled Hogan and Macho Man over, so at least you were familiar when you tuned in. They had
Look,
their Ric
they gotta-
Flairs. It's tough. I mean, Jericho's doing everything he can, and MJF is on the rise.
Other than Jericho, who else are the executives that are also wrestlers?
Well,
Young
Jericho's not
Bucks.
an executive. The Bucks are executives. Cody's an executive. Omega's an executive.
Isn't like Christopher Daniels as well?
I think
The
maybe.
Fallen
I don't think
Angel?
all three
He's
of
the
SCU
treasurer.
are, but a few of them maybe.
He's the treasurer. of the
Those are
club.
the main guys that are they're the senior
if they
VPs.
had Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes go an hour, their numbers would skyrocket.
Right.
But
And then-
like,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
No.
Like they're going out of their way not to give themselves the belt,
Yeah.
even though they're the guys who could fucking draw numbers.
Right.
Like Young Bucks, I hate the Young Bucks. Never liked them,
What?
but they could draw
Yeah.
as tag team champions.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega should have been the first feud with Jericho. I get why you give Jericho the title,
Yep.
but you can create a good feud.
But that's
And
the
they're
organic
scared to pull-
storyline, isn't it? Like, oh yeah, whatever. We own the company, but whatever. We're the best, so we're the champions, and then everyone else is chasing like that. That's
If they played it real, again, that's another just
a
tremendous
natural thing to
death
do,
blow.
yeah.
It's what we didn't believe the NWO was sort of doing when they were doing it. I was
Right.
watching one of the old Starcades because they were doing a Starcade thing on the network. And
Yeah.
I've watched a bunch of them actually in the past couple nights. Having trouble sleeping, guys.
Can't imagine why.
And wait, what are you talking about? What does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. You just see like
Why would I have trouble sleeping?
You
The
should get a
fuck is
sm-
that?
the Jew in me-
Everybody's turning on
It's
it.
because your
the
bed's
Jew
too
in
big.
me is
You
stressed
need a
about
small
your
bed like a
schedule.
crib. You like a crib that rocks.
What's funny about this is he's
Don't you
shorter
sleep
than
in
you
a
are.
crypt?
Yeah, he's like, I sleep in a crib. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
yeah. Come on, crypt. I'll tell you where to go to get one.
So I was watching this.
I get stressed hearing your schedule. That's what I meant.
All right,
Like,
so I
you're
was
very
watching
busy.
this Starcade, and you know what they left in was the old NWO commercial for the Hulk Hogan T-shirt type of thing, like
when
you
it's
know,
black and white.
this
and it-
this message paid
Yep,
for by
yep.
the New World Order, and they keep it in. It's so cool that they kept it in. And it's this janky T-shirt, and Hogan just cutting a. These guys were overpaid. They were paid before it. You can feel it.
Yep.
You can feel the dementia in the air, just like, oh, what do you want me to say? All right, I'll say it, blah, 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 right?
Right.
I mean, that's my Hogan impression. I know it sounds like someone. brother.
All these black guys.
Speaking of black guys, tune into Matt Black.
Oh,
boy.
good news, guys. You don't have to tune into it. You don't have a choice because you're subscribed to this podcast, so you're going to fucking hear it anyway.
By the way, I put up a poll. I put up a poll on our Facebook stream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
What
Was
people voted,
all three people
it
say.
Judy Bagwell on a
It
poll?
said,
What did my girlfriend say? 'Cause
it
she's
said-
the only one who watches.
should Matt Black be part of the Store Horseman stream?
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
what I post
Well,
was.
what do you,
and
of
by a
no
vote,
shit, these guys don't want to push a few
Si-
extra buttons.
6 votes to 3. Yes.
Of course.
Oh,
No
okay.
shit. You mean that 6 out of the 9 people watching
You mean-
live right now?
We're going crazy with 9 people.
We're running wild.
Oh, you think-
Horseman Mania's running wild.
You think people-
brother?
I'm sorry to come back to this, but to what Josh was saying about Omega, I don't think Omega's a fucking top guy.
You're crazy.
Ooh, wow.
You're crazy.
No, I don't.
That's a
I
hot
think he's
take.
great in the ring.
Crazy.
Hot take.
I think he's great in the ring. I think he's all right on the mic, but, you know, if
You got him crooning now, bro.
if he was a top guy, he would have fucking put himself in those storylines
You're fucking
and promoted
crazy.
himself as like a Stone Cold would or a Rock would
But
or a fucking Bret Hart or
very
Shawn
rarely
Michaels or
take-
any of these people.
Take it
Very
away.
Like
rarely
if
do
he
we get-
had the balls and wasn't as Canadian as he was, he would be that guy.
Omega's Canadian?
Yeah. Winnipeg,
Yes.
like Jericho.
Do you,
That was the whole thing when they fought. Winnipeg versus Winnipeg.
you know what the issue with AEW is? AEW is 2 years.
It's run by Canadians.
No, AEW. No, it's not.
These
doesn't
moose milking,
Whoa.
friggin', you know.
That sounded like a racial epithet, and it wasn't.
Milkin is a hard word to rhyme with, so I want to see where you go from this.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
keep it going. Moose
Moose
milkin.
milking.
Silk.
Stalking
Silkin is,
silken.
silkin isn't a
Wearing.
thing. What?
Plat-
Moose
plat-
milkin. How do you rhyme
moose
with milkin?
milkin.
You show me. I want you to
Milkin?
do it.
How do
You were starting a promo.
Moose.
These moose milking. This was
Moose.
just like you were going to the beats of hot styling, profiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
moose
here we go.
milking.
Moose milking.
Maple syrup drinking.
Moose milking.
Sip it. Somebody
Maple
please
syrup
interrupt
drinking. Hockey playing. You know,
Bacon.
kilometer having.
Shorty Stilton.
Metric system.
Oh, these sons of bitches.
driving.
Kilometer having was my favorite.
Kilometer.
I swear to God, I'd storm out of here if Eddie didn't do that 6 weeks ago. It wouldn't even be cool if I did it now.
But the issue.
All right.
sorry.
Go ahead, Josh.
Issue with AEW, I think, is they're 2 years late because there was a very good
I agree.
class of indie guys that signed to NXT
When they were in
Like-
Japan.
no, I'm talking about
were in Japan.
I'm talking about guys like Keith Lee.
Yeah.
You could have got guys like Matt Riddle.
guys
There's
remember
like
that time that-
class of guys that they lost because they were still doing this New Japan thing.
Well, but also it's like
Cody wasn't there, though.
they should
Yeah.
have what they should have done
Tony wasn't there.
is worked with New Japan to make sure that relationship was solid before they did this thing. But what they did instead was insulted New Japan and said, "Oh, you know your whole Bullet Club, we're just going to gut this and do our own thing without having a deal in place of cooperation." So now where they could benefit from guys like the GOD coming over to feud with the Bucks or Okada making appearances, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Because remember, that was a big deal for the first All Out was the fact that New Japan guys were on it.
They need someone like Okada, and they need it fast.
Wait, we got
even
another New
Tanahashi.
Japan guy?
On behalf of a New Japan guy,
Oh,
my
hope you
God.
weren't planning on SNL, buddy.
feudal.
I think Johnny
Japan
tried
guy.
Adderall for the first time tonight, right before this show.
If you aren't watching on Facebook, you're missing the hand motion.
Really? Oh, shit.
Feudal Japan guy
Feudal
has
Japan.
this to say.
Old Japan.
They should have listened to Kenny Omega and Chris Burns and all of this.
Is that an
And
Indian guy?
not have had so much strife because Japan is a land of honor.
What is happening?
And when AEW grab the people
Yeah.
from
Are you the handy
New
slapping
Japan?
guy from Street Fighter?
He was Italian there for a
My
second.
name-
Did Josh Barnett hit you in the
F.
head?
Honda.
I think Johnny's
I
on
think
a
he's
new-
doing. I think he's doing E Honda. From
That's
Street
what I'm
Fighter.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Johnny's mixing PBR with like a new antidepressant or something like that.
F. Honda is my name. I am old.
Yeah, it's the
feudal
P for
Japan.
Prozac.
I am samurai. And honor is a very big thing in
Okay, all right.
Japanese culture. And then when
Oh my God. There's times when
AEW
this guy,
grabbed them, New Japan said no.
All right, on.
Johnny, your impression is more racist than our podcast called Wetbacks.
Right?
New Japan.
Oh boy. But look, maybe they'll figure it out because at the end of the day, the numbers they are doing are still pleasing the network. They're performing way above expectation for what the network had of them, so they're fine for the foreseeable future. What it doesn't look good is their ticket sales apparently aren't great for upcoming tapings.
and really,
Walk-ups.
and well, we'll give them the same.
That's how I bank off my
Omega and
ticket
the Bucks.
sales.
3,000 walk-ups.
They're gonna make the wrestlers each bring 1,000 people to the venues.
a Bringer wrestling show.
Just like sitting there in the fucking improv courtyard.
Like-
Would you say they only sold what? Did
Huh?
you give a stat
I
before?
didn't have a number
Oh.
stat for the ticket sales,
Oh,
but
okay.
apparently some upcoming shows that aren't selling.
But
very
what-
well.
But why don't they keep going to the same markets though? They keep
No.
going to Vegas or Chicago or something.
I mean, those are like where they're really strong. But
But I mean, this is an interesting thing, and I'm sure you sort of would probably agree with this. Working in the business that you're in, is it's like, yeah, they're strong in those markets. Of course, Chicago's just a great market for anything. It is the third biggest city in our fucking country. So like, but how do they know their markets if they're not testing them? It seems to me like they would destroy in Dallas or a
Well,
Tacoma Dome or a
I mean,
Denver. Like, I mean, it just seems like all these
I don't
places
know.
have millions of people.
I mean, I feel like they should have did. If they haven't, they should have done their analytics homework on being the elite show and see where their big strong base is and. Just go there or do what kind of NWA Power is and just like, you know what, we're in a studio,
Yeah.
we're doing it the same every week. We know we can control this environment. I mean, look at NXT. People are like, oh, they should leave Full Sail, but I mean, they're slowly just getting stronger, right in the same fucking building that they've been in since the beginning.
Yeah, I still think they should. I think they should take it on the road too. I think
Yeah.
that'd be a really good move for them. They shoot it out of the same place in Atlanta.
Florida.
NXT does.
No, AEW.
No, they've been doing a
AEW
different arena every week.
Yeah.
Oh, so they do go to
Smaller
different cities.
arenas than
Right.
WWE.
Like college
but-
arenas, like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
WCW was doing towards the
That's
end.
cool.
So we'll see, and again, like to Johnny's earlier point, maybe there's like some really big payoffs that we just haven't really seen yet. And I'll still say everything that Jericho's done has been brilliant. Everything Cody's done has been great. He brought out $50,000 in cash tonight and cut a real Ric Flair promo because MJF, after turning on him, has said that he refuses to wrestle Cody. And so there's nothing they can do to get him to sign a contract to fight Cody. So literally this week he brought out his watch, his shoes, a briefcase of cash. He's like, whatever the price, let's make this happen. Like, you don't see old school promos like that anymore, and it was great. But then again, like I said, once you get past that and Moxley, it's just kind of like, all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
no,
get
but
cute
that's-
stuff like Orange Cassidy,
That's
who's
the-
Well, you
great.
get Neville or Pac. Or
Yeah, but, that stuff.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Is
Hangman
like
Page is
maybe
cool.
it's time for fucking Russell to go back to what it was, and not this like fucking every 5
Dude, what
minutes something different.
This is some like Trump shit here.
I'm gonna make wrestling great again.
There you go.
All right, I'm just gonna take 6 months to do one goddamn storyline.
How many double beers have you had?
I'm gonna
This is the first beer I've had all night.
Oh,
Are
that's
you
the
on-
problem.
are you-
all
did you
night.
did you take a cold or flu medicine or something?
I haven't. I took
All
Something
day,
a little bit
Claritin?
different.
Yeah, what?
No, I took
What'd you just
Claritin.
Claritin? Do you usually do that?
Not really,
So what made you take a Claritin?
because my nose was congested.
He wanted
Why
to
do you
get
think your
high.
nose was congested?
because the weather's
He's
changing.
doing sit-ups into a guy's dick.
By the way,
Triple H ball humidity.
I work in a fucking
Johnny,
stupid
I
tile
like
warehouse.
I like that you're concerned that your nose is congested and you want to take stuff for that, but you don't do anything concerning your arteries being congested.
Oh, that's
come
just
on,
mean.
Josh.
I lost 120 pounds, Josh.
By sucking Triple H's dick, his poster dick.
You know what? You guys can fucking make as many fat jokes as you want.
You got it.
All right.
You know what? You know what?
Do we start now? Do we start now or wait?
You know what's interesting, and I'm gonna pull a real Johnny Scortis here, and I'm gonna go
Still the
backwards.
worst
Is that
looking person
I never
on
got to
this
say
podcast.
the weirdest merch that I had as a kid.
Yeah.
And I actually did have. There was like this blow up Hulk Hogan sort of like punching bag, but it was like on the ground with like a
Nice.
sandbag in the bottom.
Yes.
And I was so little when I had this, and I mean I'm still little now. But,
You're not little. You're just short.
oh, wow. Anyway, so I would actually, and this is no joke, I would sometimes tuck my feet underneath the sandbag that was holding up the,
So you'd be sucking his dick straight up.
I would do sit-ups, but I'm so short that I would only go up to his knees. So, there you go. See, I can make fun of myself, you fucks. I'll get all the laughs for myself, you idiots.
It was me all along.
I'm just wearing a bunch of Tony Hinch.
And when he takes it all off, he loses like a foot.
Stupid.
The final level, I just peel my actual skin off. I'm just
It's just
skull and
flesh.
eating bones.
He's like, I went too far, didn't I?
Love that you're cross-eyed now.
Yeah.
You're skull and bones.
Without my skin, I go cross-eyed.
But like we were saying, if AEW formed a real relationship
Hold
with
on
New Japan,
hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. We just remember what you were going to say. Can you ask that producer guy to stretch again behind you, like
can
he
you
just
stretch?
did? Just like how he just did. Tell him to
Todd?
stretch like he
Yeah.
just did. No, now turn that way. How he did it before. Yes, like that.
way
Now
you
go that
did
way a little bit. This is what I just saw, and it looked. No, that way. Stop. Listen to that way. Stop.
Yeah.
So that's what I saw.
No, I
it
see
looked
it, I
like
see it.
it freaked me out because I'm like, it's Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor's
stretching back there. He's back. Back out. He's back. The greatest of all time.
What is he doing here?
Holy shit. He's on I love to hear the Comedy Store execs. What made Richard? It was an episode of the Store Horsemen. He came out of the basement.
These guys are on fire.
They have a ghost on. They're killing it. Their Facebook only had 9 viewers.
and six
They
of
had
them,
Pryor on.
13 of them wanted Matt Black. I also think that some of this is exacerbated because NXT's putting on amazing shows.
They're
week
the
in-
best show on TV.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tonight
Yep.
they set up Shayna Baszler and Rhea Ripley, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And we loved
Oh.
Rhea Ripley coming out. They set it up. They're gonna wrestle at whatever the next thing is that they're
But
doing.
look, they made me give a shit about Dakota Kai.
yeah.
Yeah, it's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like what? Like they just have a talent of making moves at the right time. They know how to make people that you think that they've forgotten about. They prove to you that they haven't. That there's a greater plan, but they execute it in due time, which I don't know if AEW is doing right now. So again, to your point,
No,
earlier,
and,
Johnny.
and to be honest, that's the only reason I actually got really back into wrestling because I watched the fucking Sasha Bailey match
Yep.
from
Brooklyn.
the
Takeover?
Brooklyn
First Brooklyn, yeah.
Takeover.
Brooklyn Takeover.
That
That's
was
the one
the
they talk
best
about.
fucking match I've seen in years, and
Yeah.
I still haven't
So
seen a
good.
better match unless you're talking about the Undertaker and fucking Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
That was the best match I've seen since then, and up until now.
The feeling that I had last Sunday watching Keith Lee.
Yeah.
I'll always remember this. I remember where I was when I saw Daniel Bryan for the first time that pay-per-view. I remember seeing Bray Wyatt and you tapping and going, "You're gonna love this guy." And I'm like, I do love this guy.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt that feeling since then, like I felt when I was watching Keith Lee in that match last week.
Yeah.
At every given moment, in every single way, pure star, unbelievable. Such a smart move to give him all those spots to
Yep.
really showcase him. Because people like that are just absolutely priceless.
They got
And
a
let's
few of
face
those
it, I mean, we
guys.
sort of talk about it a lot, but also not enough, is it only takes a couple huge stars.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. So to have a guy like that and to have a couple other people, the Shayna Baszler looked great, this and that, whatever. But just a couple, and that's so smart. I mean, they really made the move. I don't know if it came out
Did
in my
you
Vince
see-
impression,
They got
but I mean, Vince
captivating
is
guys in NXT. Adam
Yeah.
Cole.
But hold on, did you see the
Go ahead.
GIF of Keith Lee hitting Adam Cole into
Launching
the
him
oh
into the
my
yeah.
god,
Because that's amazing. Like that's the second part of him.
That's-
Comes off a great weekend and then all of a sudden throws a guy off screen.
and that's exactly what AEW should be doing. They should be the ones with these
creating
gifts.
those moments.
Yes,
Yeah.
they gotta do it.
Yeah.
They gotta
Yeah.
do it.
Absolutely.
They have a huge advantage not having, hopefully, all these writers and these bumbling idiots that don't know anything about real wrestling. They only know about writing things. They need to use their athleticism and their creativity to do it,
To
like
that
Bray
point,
Wyatt does.
To that point, Bray Wyatt being one of them, Vince always says a thing that I hear that people say is like, "Oh, they have a look." Rhea Ripley
Yeah.
has a
Sure.
fucking
oh,
look.
the airport test? Is that what you're talking about? You ever hear that?
I haven't heard
Oh,
that, but
I mean,
like I
it's
saw
very
her.
similar.
I'd
It's the
never
same
seen her
thing.
before, up until I haven't watched NXT a lot. I saw her at the Survivor Series, and I was like, "This
Who
bitch.
is that? Right.
you
get
guys
the
know
fuck
the
outta here.
airport test.
By the way,
right?
Johnny.
So what's the airport test?
The airport test it's the same thing you're saying, Johnny, but the way Vince would also put it is if you saw that person walking through an airport, everyone would stop and look.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Kevin Nash and Scott Hall had the airport.
Andre.
They passed the airport test. Hogan and Andre
It's-
passed the airport
It's
test.
funny because the only wrestler I've ever seen in an airport was Ric Flair.
Yeah.
When we were coming home from the Royal Rumble,
I only
and
saw the
I
Macho
was the
Man.
only one that saw him, and I had to tell Charlotte as we're walking, I go, "This is motherfucking Ric Flair." Like as we're
Yeah.
walking towards him, like it was fucking believable. Yet I was the only one seeing it. I'm also looking around. Again, another moment that of course I'll always remember my whole life. It's because it was just so. From a distance, and as he got closer, I'm like, this is Ric Flair. This is Ric
Yeah.
Flair. It took me 15, 20 seconds before I even said anything.
I did not have that
He's-
feeling when I saw Curtis Axel in a New
I
York
have to-
bathroom
I
at
had
the
to-
airport.
when I was a fucking kid, and when Hogan and the Macho Man were fighting, I went to go pick up my mom from Nicaragua with my dad, and my dad saw the fucking Macho Man in the airport.
That would
He's
just
like,
be weird.
Yanni,
yeah.
you know this guy? And I was like, oh my god, it's the fucking Macho Man.
See that?
And it was the
Those
fucking
guys are-
Macho Man Randy Savage
I
at
know.
LAX.
That'd be like
Wow.
finding out like Fred Flintstone was a real guy. Like those guys were so larger than life. It'd be like weird to see them
Fred
for real.
Flintstone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Where'd you go to pick up your mom at?
At LAX.
Or where was she coming from?
Nicaragua.
Oh, isn't that what Hulk Hogan calls a black guy's water?
Yeah.
Black guy's water? Say it one
Oh.
more time. Where's she
It
from?
is. God damn it.
Nicaragua.
Oh, now the accent gets poured on.
It's the closest to get. It's the closest I can get to saying the N word.
I just can't believe my daughter would drink nickel. Oh boy!
Like I remember as a
Where can they
kid.
find you, Chris?
I remember as a
I'm
kid.
one of the good ones. according to Tom.
As a kid, being in the airport and seeing Shaquille O'Neal during like his Orlando Magic days.
Yeah.
In the airport, and it was like, fucking this guy was so fucking
He's
big.
just he's a,
I was like
he's
maybe
a,
sixth grade,
can't
seventh
he's a,
grade.
Yeah.
he's a whole nother fucking
That
thing.
WrestleMania
Even
moment
amongst everybody, this is one of those. Again, I always reference this, but like these UFCs, everybody's there. You're surprised that some people are this and some people are that. You see everything and everybody. I've seen Tyson and
Yeah.
just every fucking. But Donald Trump, he's taller than you'd think he'd be. Wow, that's crazy. Shaquille O'Neal.
Nobody picked that up.
I
I was
mean-
waiting. Eddie, I thought Eddie was cocked. I thought Josh was cocked. Somebody.
Not for me.
Well, that's exactly the seeds planted there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taller than you, listeners. Think I'm gonna be.
By about a
Expecting
quarter of
Shorty
an inch.
T. It's Shorty me. 5'9",
Chris, we'll post,
135 pounds.
Chris, we'll post that
If
picture.
I'm wearing
where,
a winter coat.
we'll post that picture of Tony looking shorter than even me in that picture.
It is posted. That's our
I'm
new
in the back and I'm standing next to a 6'6" pro wrestler.
But yeah, Shaquille O'Neal's massive.
It's ridiculous. It's
And like I
ridiculous.
remember shaking his hand, and my little hand was like enveloped in this massive
something.
black claw.
Black
we all
Claw.
have Shaq's
Doing the
flag.
black claw.
By God, it's gonna be a King of Spades, Black Claw.
Black claw is just
I'm
gin and
thirsty.
juice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a new drink?
I'm thirsty.
Oh boy. And some other news. What do we got?
We have the
got
the
well, I was gonna say
Whose birthday
belt.
is it today?
First of all,
belt?
Johnny Mundo is back. they
what?
they made it part of WWE backstage to announce that he's officially re-signed with the company.
Is he back to his old character?
We don't
Answer
know
me.
Johnny what he's going to be yet.
You didn't even give him a
No,
chance.
that was insane.
Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Johnny, you would have saw Rhea Ripley at Rumble if you were sober enough to remember anything from that.
That's right.
night.
You were dead during that time.
We all lost our shit on her at Rumble.
Yeah.
I
Johnny was having a little timeout during that moment.
I got. Okay.
It was almost like
Remember when you puked?
Yeah,
and
I
then
was
you
just
went
gonna
to-
bring that up.
That's the
We're all-
only thing I
we're
remember.
We're all
story.
standing in a circle talking, and then Tony's like, "Johnny, are you gonna puke?" And he's like,
he goes, yeah, I think I am gonna puke.
Let me
And
just
I'm
tell-
like,
He
then
takes 3
walk
paces,
away.
yeah.
He's facing into the circle.
Here's what I was gonna say. The only thing I remember about that Royal Rumble after I blacked out was you telling me, Johnny,
Blacked out.
get it together.
It's the next pay-per-view.
Well,
Yeah.
because we were debating if we were gonna go to Ziggler's stand-up show.
Yeah, no, that wasn't gonna happen.
And you were like,
I know
Sick.
what I was talking
we
about.
told you to walk away.
I know
Tony
what I'm
tells you to
talking
walk
about.
away. You vomit.
Yeah.
You come back, and we're like, and you immediately say, "So we're
Yeah,
hitting up this
I
show or
know.
what?"
I love doing stuff. I love hanging out.
I know.
I find it absolutely impossible to do anything after being part of a Royal
"We're
Rumble.
screaming
Like,
for
it's-
hours."
It's absolutely just I get so excited, and it's so much countdowns and energy.
After
and
Royal Rumble, I want to hit the hot
especially
tub.
that one was a little bit janky, right? That one they were coming from underneath. You couldn't see them. What a
You couldn't see the entrance.
huge blunder on their part. What a
Oh, that was-
that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths who go to these events every year. And I'm telling you from our own experience,
Speaking
right?
of leaving a bad
It's just
taste
like-
in people's mouths, people are not enjoying Bray Wyatt's new title
Fiend
belt
belt?
that he is.
These people.
created.
Let me tell you something about these people.
Uh-huh.
All right,
What
these
do you mean?
people
What do you
on
mean
the
by
internet.
these people?
Everybody. All right,
Them too.
fucking everybody. Is that everyone just can't wait? This is the whole thing. You know what I saw today? This is interesting. This applies here. While doing my own way of getting news, right? I find out that the most popular subreddit of 2019 is Free Folk, which is a subreddit that was specifically created to go up against the Game of Thrones subreddit as a bunch of people hating on Game of Thrones, which it's old supposed Game of Thrones fans that the storyline didn't work the way they thought it was going to, and they literally blew it up. I mean, it was insane. This year, the most active subreddit was that subreddit out of everything. We're talking about reality shows, WWE, all these different things. Now, my point is the world is just filled with fucking haters, and they can't wait, and especially now in this Trumpian age of like, did you see what he did today? All this stuff. Let me tell you something. That belt, first of all, hilarious that they're selling it for $6,000. That alone, I say it was worth it. That alone.
Is that why you bought one?
I already have 2 of them actually. Two belt, too short.
Shorty 2 belts.
So
He's the chump.
here's the thing: is that it was on the Funhouse, right? That's
Yeah.
it. It wasn't on the thing. He's not gonna.
Well, the
I'd
thing
be
was-
shocked if he came out with that belt.
Well, Bray's rationale in the Funhouse was that he has a shiny new blue belt,
Right.
so the Fiend should also have a belt.
Yeah.
And then the Fiend does have a belt, which is his face
Right.
stretched across a championship.
It
as
looks like
though,
beef jerky.
his
One of the
human
really
skin.
interesting things about that segment to me was also that because this character of the Fiend and Bray Wyatt in the Funhouse has been kind of trolling wrestling and internet trolls and itself.
Yep.
He called the belt a toy on several occasions, and that's like the biggest no-no in the business. You don't call the belt a toy. You don't call it a prop, even though that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And he still managed to do that and still get that belt over, get the idea over. So,
You like the belt?
Look, aside from the idea on whether a champion should or should not have an exclusive title or a special belt like that, I don't think that is best for it. But aside from that, I don't love the design in the way that it looks like the mask stretched. Like if it were the mask in metal. Like if it was, think about his character. If it was pewter, right? Like the metal pewter instead of.
You guys know what they're planning on doing with this, right? You know they're gonna have him if he ever comes out with it,
What's he
which I I'm still not convinced he's going to do. I'm 50-50 on this one.
I feel
But
like
he comes
is
out with
because
it
there's
on his
no-
head, and
he-
it's
that's where
for
he
the
is.
it's for the appearance. They set it up with the last one. They put the belt on his head. He walked out with that. So now the
Yeah.
belt is his mask, basically a secondary mask. He takes off, right?
Yeah,
guys-
probably.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's why they would do that. But I don't know if it's gonna look right. I don't know if that's gonna play well. They have to do.
And he already has
Really
a
have
head
to
that
look
he's
at it and test
carrying
it.
around with the lantern. It's like
think
he's got two heads.
I think it's a lot, and I think that if
I
they were
do.
going to give him a specialty belt, there was also just different designs. Like
I-
the fact that it definitely looks like it's made out of the same silicone or whatever rubber, that it looks
Yeah.
just like the mask. I just think they could have gone a different way. It's not going to kill the thing for me, but
No.
I'm not.
He's gonna mess
excited.
up one of these.
It's funnier
days.
that it's $6,500 and that they call them custom as if it's not a mold that they're just
Yeah.
injecting some silicone into.
Question.
I'm a big fan of the Fiend. I'm a big fan of Bray Wyatt, and I'm a big fan of fucking horror movies, and a big
like
fan
horror
of the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And it looks like the Necronomicon
I
in
wish-
a belt.
I wish it looked more like that, where it was just like human
Instead of his
skin
face and
strewn
just that.
across.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it scary.
Like you see pieces
That
of the
makes sense.
belt
I'd like that.
peeking out.
That was
from the
probably
skin.
my guess is probably that's what Bray is probably pitching things like that to that extreme, and they're probably toning him down like, oh well, we'll have the best makeup guy make you a special thing. It'll be can't be that extreme. It can't look like blood. It can't look like skin, but we can get as close as we can. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
that's how it happens. Is it's like. And then by the time, of course, you would say like, oh, well, that's not Bray's vision. But by the time they end up showing him the belt, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
Probably
how
gave it
we
to
are
him-
with our Store Horseman
Yeah.
T-shirts or the pins, or better yet, right? Because it's like, wow, there it is. It's fucking.
They
it's
might
so
have handed
cool.
it to him seconds before he had to shoot the damn thing.
Right, exactly.
Something
And
about
it's,
it
but it's
also-
it is cool because at that point he's looking at it like, God damn. To him, of course, that's awesome. So it's like by the time that your vision gets convoluted by God only knows what he's dealing with, because he's pushing it to the limit to even get away with what he's getting away with.
Of course.
So it's
Something
like I'll
about the-
guarantee you that belt was supposed to look frightening.
It also, to me, felt last minute. And maybe it's just because the design, I don't know, but to me the design is so, it is not simple, it's simplistic. Meaning somebody was just like, well, put his face on a belt. And then they were like, okay, well, and then put a couple things on the side. Like, it didn't feel like a fully realized vision of a custom belt for this character.
I also think it may have gone down immediately as such a failure that they only have one of those belts, and that's the one that they sold the next day
Yeah.
for $6,000. So
Or
sell it.
just
Or
it's a
they
weird
showed it to
thing.
Bray, and he cackled like a hyena and was like, "This is hilarious. I'm gonna get this over because it's so goddamn ridiculous."
Question for you guys: how far on the bottom of worst belt ever? Like how close do you have it to the spinner belt?
No.
I don't like.
it's a weird thing. To me,
Yeah.
it just qualifies so differently that to compare it, like
Yeah.
the spinner belt was at least a championship belt. Like that United States spinner belt, as stupid as it was, still to me, I have affection for.
I love
you know what
that
I mean?
belt. Yeah, I like
a
that belt.
weird, and the actual spinner WWE belt, like that's pretty cool because at the end of the day, they locked it in place and it still looked like a championship belt. And this doesn't even feel like a championship belt.
It's
to
not
me.
even in
It's an-
contention to be
it's a weight
compared to
belt.
these other belts until it's brought to the ring.
And it's a
That's on a
weightlifting.
Firefly Funhouse. That's like comparing like who do you think's a better WWE character, Randy Orton or Ramblin' Rabbit? It's like they're in two different like
I
realms.
do feel like this belt is going to make an appearance
I think
in
it
the
is,
arena.
too.
Like I think the way it appeared to me was when Bray Wyatt appears on the Firefly Funhouse, he'll hold the Universal title. And when the Fiend shows up, he's holding the Fiend's belt, which is still representative of the Universal title. And that's to me where I would say,
Yeah, it's his smoking skull belt.
yeah.
I just
And then
don't
they
think-
might be setting up for like a big moment where whoever beats the Fiend tears that face off,
Yeah.
and the belt is
Yeah,
there
I know.
under the skin.
And as a kid, seeing something like that,
Yeah.
like as I was a kid watching The Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan, I'd be like, oh, what the fuck?
I just think the contrast is cooler than they're giving it credit for. I could see why they would go, oh, it doesn't match the tone of his thing. Like it does, we could make it look cool. He should have his own thing because he has his own everything
Yeah.
else. But I think I love the contrast of him being the best in the business, like it looking like the championship belt. I think
in that vein, I always appreciate when they change the leather backing on a belt, right? Warrior did that. Shawn Michaels did that with titles. That to me is cool. One of the reasons that I also appreciate the belt is, for me, the logic breaks down if we're not acknowledging that this is about wrestling, then all of it's dumb. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has to still be about wrestling. Otherwise, the show itself falls completely apart. And if we're not competing for the prize, like, the Fiend can be anything it wants if it's still grounded in, I'm the champion, I'm going to be the champion, I'm going to beat all comers. When it starts to be this, like, well, now I have this belt and I make that one, like, and I have my face on one, it just starts to feel less and less like it's about wrestling, and that pulls me out of what the basic story still needs to be.
I feel like that's a lot to your point that the WWE is a show about wrestling and not like wrestling.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about belts, I personally love that new IC belt.
I don't.
I love it.
I don't.
I think it's one of the most gorgeous belts.
I tried to give it a chance.
So it looks like an NXT belt.
I just think the
and
belt
I love
was
it.
so good the way it was.
I do miss the white leather.
Is the IC title was so gorgeous, but it feels overdone. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I
feels like
like
a first draft of it where they should have edited a few things, taken this off, expanded on that area. Conceptually, I agree, Josh. It has a really cool look conceptually, but I don't think. Again, it feels unfinished.
I
to me.
do. I hate that they got
done by committee.
I hate they got rid of the white leather
yeah.
on the IC belt. I'm a fan of it, but I really like that belt. It looks new. It looks fresh. It kind of looks like the new UFC belt almost. Has that kind of feeling to it.
Yeah, that's definitely what they're going for here. But I mean, it's just
It's
it
a little
doesn't
flat.
feel
It
like
doesn't. It's not finished.
And it looks like it blends in with Nakamura's outfit as opposed to stand out, which is what the title should do.
And somebody else that I saw online was like,
that's
really
my
going,
point with the Fiend.
Yeah.
That's
they
what
were
I'm
going over the design of it, and they were like, you have literally like Aztec piping and like Roman leaf, like you have all of these different design elements that a designer wouldn't put together because they don't actually complement. It's just, it's almost there, but I'm not in love with it. I can't get behind it yet. I'm kind of sad with it.
A lot like AEW.
I'll say it's better than that than the other IC title they tried to do for a while. That
I
weird
love that.
oval one.
That's my IC
That's
title,
your
man.
I could not get behind it because
Me
that's
neither.
when they
The
first
Chris
got.
Benoit,
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I did
belt
not
either.
like that
Jericho
one.
IC title.
I love the classic one. I love
Yeah.
the
No, I
classic.
love the
one.
classic
the one
one
that
the best.
Razor
And I'm-
Ramon
Yeah,
and
the
Shawn
rectangles.
Michaels.
Yes.
Yeah.
The series of
That is
rectangles.
the best.
That's the best.
That's
belt.
my favorite belt.
And
That's
that's
the
why it lasted this
Intercontinental.
long.
Yeah.
Same as look, I'm not. I would keep that IC title and the Winged Eagle belt forevermore and not have an issue. So,
Yeah.
but that's,
See, I like the round championship belt from
Yeah, the Attitude
around
Era.
the same time
Yeah.
that IC title
The-
was out.
yeah.
You
over.
like the Wing Eagle belt?
my
Everyone
favorite
likes
belt
the
of
wing.
all
Well, you
time.
like Bret Hart.
I took you for more of a bald eagle kind of guy. Come on.
Oh
I'm
boy,
gonna keep this short.
that's it. And short and sweet because we're gonna end right there. I think
Short and too sweet.
we gave him a lot. But again, as always, we'll see what happens. They're gearing up. What's the next pay-per-view? TLC is coming up.
It's in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. AEW, have they announced what their next pay-per-view is?
The next pay-per-view by AEW is my bladder is going to explode.
Absolutely. Where can we find you in the meantime there, Shorty T?
Oh, it's me, Tony Hinchcliffe. I'm Shorty T. Sometimes I forget myself. It's such a new nickname. Next week, Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Cleveland, Ohio. And then from there, 2020, San Antonio, Houston. These are all Kill Tonys and stand-up shows. The same with Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Tempe Improv, February. JFL Northwest just announced Kill Tony in Vancouver, Canada.
Kale
And
Tony.
Then Kill Tony East, the second ever one, the famous Kill Tony East, which happens right between Providence and Boston, is February 29th. That also is just announced. Then La Jolla, the first week of March, spring. It's going to be beautiful, right by the beach. It's going to be a bash at the beach there in La Jolla with
There you go.
2 Kill Tonys and 5 stand-up shows.
Maddie?
Check out my other podcast, Matt Black.
Yeah.
It's
a good
hit
one.
with the kids.
It's a good one.
Also, you know what? Come here, see me at the Comedy Store in the Improv every weekend. I am the true king of late night here.
Oh.
Come see that shit, man. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Josh Martin, Don Barris, all you guys could suck it. Brian Holtzman.
Oh
all of
my
you, man.
God.
Are
Wow.
you setting up
Late night
a
motherfucker.
Storcade match
I
right now?
win.
What's happening?
I kill every time I go on. Not
Whoa.
sometimes, every single time. And I do it dead sober, too.
Whoa!
We want the
That
smoke. We want the smoke.
Hey,
Johnny.
find me on Instagram and Twitter at Johnny Scortis. Bye.
Go pee. Eddie?
On Instagram at I am Eddie Firth, on Twitter at at Eddie Firth. December 18th in the Belly Room, we're roasting Santa Claus for fictional roast. Tony may make an appearance. Then December 27th, I'm at the Ice House with the Liars Club. And January 29th, we're back in the Belly Room for historical roast, the dead presidents. We're going to roast all the dead presidents.
Jabroni.
You need a Bobby Kennedy? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry,
Not
Eddie.
dead. He's not a president.
I know.
Eddie, you said Tony might make an appearance?
Yeah,
As
December 18th.
like one of the elves?
Oh my God, you
God.
bastard!
Bingo.
When I get on the other side of that glass, I swear to God.
I don't know,
You
Josh.
what, you going to punch my kneecaps?
Oh, if I can jump that high.
God damn.
At Josh Martin Comic on all the things. I'll be in Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Plano next week with Pauly Shore.
Your Fort Worth never gets old. It gets funnier every week.
I know.
If you could just always plug Fort Worth.
I thought he was telling me I was going with him. I don't.
And I'm sorry, and I'll be
Yeah.
in Indianapolis New Year's Eve.
Love it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm doing Plano, Texas, New Year's Eve.
Nice.
So
Oh
that's
shit!
a
I'm
big
at the
one.
Sycamore Tavern New Year's Eve.
Wow.
There we go. Everyone's doing some New Year's Eve.
I'll be in Aspen.
Whoa.
I'm at Chris_please. A lot of the black guys have hit me up for Dark Foundation T-shirts. I appreciate you guys. A shipment's going out on Friday.
My guess is those will be late.
And also hit us up if you want a Store Horseman shirt.
Yeah,
from
put up
Store
the
Kid.
merch on our Facebook page. I put the shop up, so now if you go to our Facebook page, you can see all our T-shirts right there. Get that. Give us the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Keep doing that. That's important. Review us on Facebook. That's still a thing. And never forget, Store Horsemen are your hookup. Holla if you hear us.